All right, guys, we're here. We're back with Pit Chatter Podcast, here recording live from Franklin County Speedway. I'm your host and promoter here, Langley, Austin. Got Noah Hinchee, my co-host here beside of me. He doesn't sound as tired as he did the last time, so they haven't been working him hard at work.
Yeah, or's a nap I just took in here.
Well,
waiting on y'all.
Whatever. You tell your story your way, and I tell it mine.
Waste half my life waiting on people.
Well, I told you I wasn't going to be here until almost 5. So
at least I got a good nap out of it. That's all I got.
That's right. Good. Hey, at least you got a good nap. You'll have plenty of good questions for our guest today, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of our guest, going to go ahead and bring him on in. We don't have a whole lot of other stuff to talk about. We've been off for the last 3 weeks, not racing. He's been busy racing, though. We're going to talk to Dennis Holdren. I was just running through all the things that you've raced over time. I don't know what to introduce you as. I guess right now you're a mini stock driver, right?
Yep. Proud to be a mini stock driver.
Been
enjoying it.
In a little bit of everything previous to that, though.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start there. We'll go back kind of, and I with most people, I hate to go back, to the beginning, but your beginning in racing is very, very interesting. You were just talking about it a little bit before we started recording, and tell us how you got started into racing. You started in mini cups, right?
Yeah, we did. We tell everybody this story. I kind of got started late, but I think back on it. We were talking about back in the 80s and what have you. A lot of drivers was that age. I started at 29 years old, so I wasn't like these young guns out here running around 13, 14 years old. But anyway, at 29 years old, I had a good friend, Wayne Corprew. He started out in the mini cups. He had the 44 Hot Wheels car, and I think he tore it up and crashed it, and so he brought it down to my shop, and I helped him fix it up and everything, and we got that thing painted up, and really kind of sparked my interest, so I ended up getting into a mini cup with him, and that was in 1999.
Yeah, the mini cup experience. I mean, you run really good, but you also had some interesting experiences both here and at Ace, right?
Yeah, both times. With Wayne, I had a good teammate there, and he kind of set me off into a good path there. And we was pretty fast right off the trailer most every time. So we'd run in the top 5 a lot, and so at both tracks, when you're running that close to the good front runners and everything, you're gonna touch a little bit and this and that and the other. So one night we was at Ace Speedway. And Wayne, we was in the top 3, and Wayne just kind of cut over in front of me, and I said, well, you going to go around, Wayne? And lo and behold, Wayne didn't go around. I went upside down, slid down the front stretch upside down, and we just flipped the car back over at that point and come back out, and I think we had to tape the windshield back on it, and we ended up finishing 9th that night. But that was one time we flipped over. And then the second time was here at Franklin County Speedway. We come up off of 2 here, and I got sideways, and that thing started bouncing on me, and it shot up to the inside wall. And the next thing I know, I kind of done a Joey Chitwood on the backstretch and rolled over and over and over, and ended up landing on the inside wall.
Yeah, that was a wild one. I remember it. I'm telling my age. I'm old here, but I remember that one. I actually believe I was at Ace that night because I used to at that time I'd help out with the Virginia Mini Cups media, I guess. Not quite like it is today, but same general idea. That's one way to make sure you want to get out of a mini cup, right? That's
is
a small
one way.
car to be flipping.
It really is. I was very fortunate that I didn't get hurt in either time. I had good safety equipment on and the helmet, and all my straps kept my hands in and stuff like that. So I was very fortunate. I didn't get hurt either time.
Now, after those 2 wrecks, did you finish the season in the mini cup?
I did. I finished the season. Matter of fact, we was going to our championship race. I think it was at Ace Speedway at the end of the year, and just so it happened, my son was being born on the same day. So we had my son that morning, and we ended up going racing that evening, finishing up the year.
Dedication of racers right there. Son's born in the morning, going racing at night. So after that, you kind of transitioned to much bigger cars.
Oh yeah, we kind of looked around a little bit. Roger Severus, he had the garage over here in the Roanoke Industrial Park, and we kind of knew those people, and we went over there. And at that time, Trey Park was trying to sell his older car because he had a new car built, and we ended up buying Trey Park's car.
Yeah. That you went to Motor Mile, I believe, raced your first race in limited, right?
Yeah, at the end of 1999, the last race of the season, we got that car together, and we run a limited race. And I think I finished in the top 10, somewhere around 9th maybe or something like that. And that just sparked the rest of it.
I mean, back around 1999, and top 10 would have been a pretty good finish, first race out of the competition that was there.
Yeah, we thought that we really had a good night, and we ended up, over the winter season, we turned that limited car into a late model and started the next year in late models.
Now, I know today going from a late model or limited to a late model there's not much difference. I think carburetor is about it.
Yeah.
Back then, what did you have to do?
Actually, it was a complete engine change. You had this straight angle head plug 350 engine, and you had a smaller carburetor and stuff like that you ran in the limited division. And then just as soon as we moved up the late model, they had a different head, the angle plug head, the bow tie head, and was a little bit bigger carburetor and stuff at that time. And shocks, we was able to run some better shocks. And that was basically the differences in the two chassis.
How did you fare the next season in late models?
I think we done very well. We came out pretty good. That was one of the first years that they allowed the limited, the crate motor. Mm-hmm. I was one of the first people to run the crate motor. And at that time in 2000,
that was the 604, right?
It was a 603.
603.
603 okay. With the 390 carburetor on it.
Okay.
And that's when we started out because, back then the late models only had the 350 carburetors on the built motors. So we started out with that. And I remember my first race with that, we finished 9th, top 10. Mm-hmm. And it was 32 cars there. And I think we may have even got a little weight break at that time for running the crate motor. And so we ran that crate motor pretty much the whole season and done very well with it.
Yeah. From there, where'd you go?
Well, of course, everybody's always got to get bigger and better. So we started getting engines built by Billy Banks and got a new chassis. I went down to Kingsport, actually right outside of Bristol, and bought a car from Bobby Hall that Wade Day was driving.
Yep.
And Wade Day had finished the championship. So I went and bought that car, got that chassis, and brought it back. And we fixed that up for the very next season. I think it was in 2000. It's either 01 or 02. I think it might have been 02. And that's when we started really trying to get after it and try to do better.
Yeah. Somewhere along the way, correct me if I'm wrong, you really got a lot better. I mean, you started racing. I mean, I can remember, I don't remember if you won, but I remember specifically, I mean, you'd go and dominate the races at Motor Mile. And then at the end, Philip Morris would find a way to get by you. It seemed like that was your thing every week. You'd dominate the race, and then he'd go.
It really was, it really got we kind of, I think it was somewhere around, must have been 2005 or 2006 that happened. Yeah. But prior to that, I sat on the pole a lot. I could go out there and blister a lap, and just as soon as they dropped a green, I was backing up. So evidently, I just had cars way too loose. I learned that over time, that on new tires you could have it really set up loose, and you could get a fast lap out of it. And then just as soon as they dropped a green, 4 or 5 of them was passing me, and I was, backing up in a hurry. Right. It really didn't take long to realize that my racing just wasn't going to be as good. So over time, we got better and better with that. I got, some people helping me and different things, and we got the cars set up better, and we got them set up a little bit tighter so then we could compete. Yeah. And I think one year when Jason Lawrence was really battling hard with Philip Morris, and those I think it was probably 2 years. It seemed like I finished second to those two guys every single race. Yeah. It didn't matter what happened. If something would go, I'd be leading, and the car would just tighten up or what have you, and I'd end up second.
Yeah.
And him and Philip would get together, and I don't know. Lawrence would finish first one race, and then would come back, and then Philip would finish first, but I'd be in between them.
Yeah, yeah. You know, you probably didn't look at it this way then, but to finish second to either one of those two guys was like a win.
Oh yeah, I did state that a lot of times. Even in Victory Lane when we, all three of us would come up there. I felt that way. I felt that
Yeah.
I was just knocking on the door. I should have been if I'd have got lucky enough. If,
Right.
Like you said, if I was racing against anybody else other than them two at that time,
Yeah.
I'd have probably scored a few wins. But those two tough competitors, and I felt like I was pretty good to be able to run right with them.
All right, well, fill in the gaps for me because I remember, then. And then, man, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old. I remember 2019, you were in the Super Street at Motor Mile, mini stock. Jesse Yop got hurt. You were in it. Then you moved to the Modifieds, and we'll talk about that a little bit here. Well, fill in the gap here from 2005, 2006.
Yeah,
to
basically, in 2005, I think I just decided to sell everything that I had, and or it was 2006. Anyway, in 2006, I bought a mini stock from Rodney Campbell. He had it built new, and I'd end up buying it from him. And my father liked to build the engines and stuff, so we put a car together and went up to Motor Mile in 2007 and won a championship mini stock in 2007 season. I'd had some late model stuff, and I kind of floated back and forth. I'd run some mini stock races, and I'd run some late model races. And then I kind of just got away from late model for a little bit, 2007, 2008. And then in 2009, I decided to build a brand new car. So that's when I went to Frank Deiny, and we built a brand new car in 2010 and raced South Boston and Motor Mile and Franklin County and different places with those cars. And again, did very well, a whole lot of seconds. Didn't get too many wins, but I got a whole lot of seconds. And then from 2010 to, I think it was 2016, I was racing basically two cars. I had a car with Frank Deiny, and then I had a car that I bought from Stacy Purrier. Mm-hmm. And I think that was in 2016. I bought the car from Stacy Purrier and had some real good success with it, especially here. Won a lot of races at Franklin County with the Stacy Purrier car. And then when we get up to 2018 and 19, that's when I bought a Ford and it had a pretty good history on that Ford. It was a number 34 that Ryan Blaney drove at Rockingham and won the race at Rockingham with.
Corey
And
LaJoy.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Corey LaJoy won the race at Rockingham in the 34 car. Yeah. That was a car out of the Hampton Roads area, Chesapeake area.
The Sears sand and gravel.
Yep,
car,
Sears sand and gravel. And I ended up buying that car, brought it back, took the motor out of it, and put in a car that I got together with Torp Chassis, Craig Oliver. And we decided to run some races in 2018, and we went to Shenandoah Speedway, and we won up there, and then we took it to Motor Mile and a couple different things. But then the very next season, at the end of that season, I decided to do something on my own, get back away from Craig. And so I put that 34 completely together, and that's how it became the 99.
Okay.
And then in 2019, we went Super Street racing.
Yep.
And we won the Super Street Championship, and we won the late model championship here with the same car. And
in 18 here, right?
No,
18 championship here, 19 Motor Mile.
yes, 18 here and 19 at Motor Mile.
I'm trying to remember my years. Yeah. I see you're trying to remember too.
Yeah, I am too. I was sitting here, we went to Ace Speedway up at Right Much in 17 and 18, and then we went here also in 18. So I'm having to put my years back together too.
let's talk about, and this is jumping through those years there. You did the tribute car to Six Pack 2018 after he had passed away.
Yes.
A lot of people, especially the season opener here, a lot of people here that knew Six Pack and was fans of his, crew members and stuff. That had to be a really cool deal.
Yeah, it was a really cool deal. That was your dad helped out in that situation there. He wanted to do something for Six Pack, and he helped me get the car labeled up and decaled with a tribute car for Six Pack. And that year we ran a couple of races here with the car, done very well with it. And then I think we took the 09 off of it, and then that's how it became the 99.
Yeah. And then the next year with the Super Street, some people listening may not even know what a Super Street is. They may be thinking it's a street stock, but it's not a street stock. It's a late model stock car chassis, or really, I guess, any chassis, perimeter chassis. But, it's 8-inch tires.
Mm-hmm.
You got to really be able to drive those things. Tell us about the experience of driving those.
Yeah, actually, when we first started out in that, I'd been used to running late models.
Yeah.
And so when we went straight to that, we read the rules. And the first rule about that is adding 200 pounds to a late model.
Yeah.
So once we added all the weight to it and everything, then there was a shock package.
Yeah.
So they had a shock package that basically wouldn't tie the cars down. I mean, just as soon as you go through the corner, she'd pop right up coming up straightaway.
Yeah.
So they look kind of funny. They'd pop right up and then they'd lay right back down.
Yeah.
Those two things there, and then the 8-inch tires. I told a lot of people that when you go up the straightaway, you're chasing the car on the straightaway as much as you are in the corners.
Yeah.
Because the tires are taller, and you feel like you're just rocking back and forth constantly when you're going up the straightaway.
Yeah.
So it could be a handful, and it took a right much, to get used to that car. We had some speed, definitely. We had some speed with that car, but the 8-inch tires and the extra 200 pounds really made it handle.
Shoot, I could wheel that thing.
Yes.
You can't even wheel a Crown Vic.
Listen,
It reminded you of a Crown Vic when you went
I
around with
believe
that thing with
I
that
believe
extra
that.
weight.
So
Yeah.
you definitely don't want to get in one.
yeah, maybe not. Never mind.
Yeah. But speaking of the shock package, you guys kind of found the gray area in that shock package early on in the season.
Well, we did. We actually we was the only car really, and it was because I ran late models and everything. We was on bump stops.
Yeah.
So we was able to set the car down, and then we also tied the car down.
Yeah.
With cables.
Yeah.
We took cables and we tied the car down, and there was no rule.
Right.
I read the rules. I talked to the officials there. I did these things after I asked. I did ask first because I didn't want to be thrown out. I knew we had good speed.
Right.
And I just didn't want to be thrown out, over something silly.
Yeah.
So I asked him. I plain and simple. I went up. It was Randy Merriman was running the Motor Mile Speedway at that time. I went up to Randy and I said, "Nowhere in the rules does it say I can't run bump stops." He said, "You're exactly right. You can run them." I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And it went about 3 weeks later. I went to him and I said, "There's nowhere in the rules says I can't tie this car down with a cable." Nope, there's nowhere in the rules that you can't. And really, I was really. And I guess, it's like anybody. When you're having good success and you're having a lot of fun,
Yeah.
you're winning a lot of races. I really enjoyed the fact that I was racing a series that basically had 4 rules.
Right.
You had a tire rule, you had a weight rule, and you had a shock rule.
Yep.
And
Ride height rule.
ride height rule,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was it.
Yep.
No more rules.
Yeah,
You
unfortunately.
didn't have to look at nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way all racing should be.
Yeah.
The tech process is so much simpler.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I love that class. I don't for whatever reason it never worked here. We'd get 4 or 5, maybe 6 cars, and it just would never work. If you'd had one night, you got 12, you might feel good about it. You know what I mean? Just never would work, and I don't know why, but it felt like to me that it was the perfect class for this track.
It was a perfect for any racetrack.
I agree with
Honestly,
that.
it takes it puts the car back in the driver's hand.
Yeah.
You could have a Winston Cup engine in that thing,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't do you a bit of good.
Yeah.
It just burned the tires off of it.
Well, one of the things that I thought
It
was
didn't matter what the motor was.
awesome about it was, like, at Motor Mile, they had, like, an old Pro Cup car in the division. I mean, there was all kinds of different
Trucks.
Dewey Smith. Yep, you had a truck. You had Dewey Smith had his actual street stock. I mean, it was just such a great, I don't know, group of cars, just different things that was in it. It just made it cool.
Yeah, and be honest with you, I'm like you. I don't know why they didn't come here.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they don't go to Coburn, because they don't have them there either. And I don't know why they didn't go to Kingsport. I don't know where these cars are going. They're not going anywhere.
They're sitting in their shop. They're Facebook racers.
Yeah.
Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it doesn't make a lick of sense.
No, it
to
doesn't.
me.
It really doesn't, for sure. After this, well, in the meantime, I'm about to skip over it, but like during that 2019 season when you won the Super Street Championship, had you started the season in that mini stock, Jesse Yop started the season and got injured. I believe that was the first or second race. You got in it. You might have won the mini stock championship too.
Yeah, we won several races there. I got to thank for Jesse for that year. It was sad to see him get hurt.
Yeah,
it really was. We were there, and of course we're mini stock racers, have been for a long time.
Yeah.
My father was still heavily into it. My brother was into it, and was racing against Jesse. And at that time, that happened. I thought, well, that's such a good car.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah,
it was such a good car. So we contacted him, talked to him, and his wife, Rebecca.
Yep.
She's a great race fan, loves to go racing. And she was all for it. And we took off and started winning races with that car, and it was actually a great season for us in that car.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, you almost. I mean, I don't remember what the points were, but I mean, you could have won the championship there. Had some great battles with, I don't know, if friend or rival Doodle Lang.
He's a friend. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And a rival.
Yeah, he was definitely a rival that season. I know, with Race 22, we got some interesting videos.
He's a good racer and competitive, and you know how it is whenever you got people like that. It gets stirred up pretty good.
Oh yeah,
and it constantly is. So the competitiveness in both of us.
Right.
That's what drives stuff like that.
2020 kind of I guess went in a different direction for everybody.
It did.
You definitely, racing-wise, went in a different direction.
Yeah, 2020.
Got with Mark Dowdy and took off from there in the Modifieds.
It really did. In 2019, we was over here racing, and he was bringing that Modified over here, and Satch was driving it and doing the little exhibition thing they were doing and stuff like that. And Mark, I kept telling him that I wanted, really wanted to drive the car. I'd really like the opportunity to drive the car, and really had some interest in it. And Mark kept telling me, he says, we may do something next year. He kept telling me, and I kind of blowed it off. I didn't think much about it.
Right.
Well, the very next year, something that happened the year before. He had a guy racing it at Hickory, and it ended up getting tore. Excuse me, it ended up getting tore up at Hickory. Yeah. And it was sitting in his garage during the 19 season, and during the winter, we went over and helped Mark fix that thing up and got it all painted up and everything. And from that time on, I got to sit in it, and boy, it was a blast.
Yeah. 2020. Did you get to run early in the season in 2020?
Yeah.
Where did you run it at early on in the season?
Well, ran it here.
Okay,
so
that was later on
stuff.
In the season.
Yeah.
The pandemic.
Yes,
we got
that's
shut
right,
down. We didn't get to open until June.
Yeah, most of mine was practices. I'd come over here and we'd do some practicing and everything. But I started out right with the Bowman Gray excitement when they closed down all this Bowman Gray stuff and you put on some races.
The stadium invasions.
The stadium invasion. So we started with that.
They were very entertaining and very good for my wallet. But you did really good. Right off the bat in that thing. Yeah,
the car was strong, and we had some really good help. Talmadge Thomas with the school really helped out Mark, and the car was fast. Every time we come over here, we really had some good success with it. Again, if it wasn't for the guys that I was racing with at that time, I probably should have had some wins in it. But as luck have it, well, we finished second, third, a lot. during that time, and just couldn't capture that win.
Yeah. The next season you went smart modified racing,
Mm-hmm.
and that went pretty good too.
That went pretty good. Yeah, I had a real good time. We had actually bought a new car, and I used some of my late model knowledge, and I was, kind of one of the first ones that was bump stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And we were sitting down on the front springs at South Boston and a couple of places, and we had some real good success with that. We finished the top 5 a few times, 4th place and running it. We really did well.
Now you're back in a mini stock. What's I guess if you sort of come full circle in your career.
I did.
But why not continue with the modified?
Well, the Smart Modified Tour just kept growing, and it kept attracting. The best way to explain it is just bigger and better teams.
Yeah, sure.
Teams with more money, teams with more talent, more full-time employees. Sure. It just turns into another, just situation where people putting their heart and soul into those things, and we were just basically a small funded family team that we were trying to do everything on our own, and it just got too expensive for us. Right. And got to a point where our performances were really not where we thought they should be. And I am 58 years old, going on 59 years old. I'll be 59 next month, and I got to feeling like, maybe it's me. Maybe I am not producing or making the car do what it should do and get up front. Mm-hmm. And so we just kind of decided to take a year off. And Mark plans on selling all the equipment. He's already sold one car, and he's planning on doing something maybe. If we get together, he wants to maybe do it again next year.
So go back smart modified racing?
That's the plan.
Okay. Yeah, see, I wasn't sure. I know you're having fun, running around in the mini stock again.
Be honest with you, it has sparked, rejuvenation.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, whenever you're competing, for the win or running up closer to the front, and you're doing things with friends and buddies, and right. Especially when you're spending quality time with your father that loves to do this type of racing, it is something you just can't explain. Right now, my age is creeping up on me. I am getting older. I ain't complaining because I'm able to do this, and we're able to keep going, and I can compete very well in this division, and we're having a lot of fun at it right now.
Yeah, well, winning the first 3-4 races, that usually makes it pretty fun. That helps out a lot.
That really does. A lot of people look at that. I have had a lot of good fortune this year. Not misfortune. I've had a lot of good fortune. I broke a couple motors at different tracks and stuff, but overall, we the first race that we came out here at Franklin County, that's probably a race that I kind of thought that I kind of dominated. I dominated practice, dominated the race.
Yeah.
Since then, no.
Yeah.
They've been handed to me.
They definitely
When something happened, where somebody's leading and they break.
Yeah,
3-4 laps for the end of the race. And then the next time they just, make a mistake or whatever happened. And
the 2 liters wreck. Yeah.
The car, the 2 liters wrecked, and they just handed out. They were definitely faster. I don't know that I would have caught them. I know I could have kept up with them.
Yeah.
But I know that they were better than I was that day.
Yeah.
And then the next one is just kind of handed to me because somebody forgot to put fuel in their car and it was too light. I don't know, for whatever reason. And then the same thing happened to me last Friday night at Kingsport.
Yeah.
Almost identically. The 2 guys that were out front, I was running 3rd. I was actually running 4th. And Michael Tucker, I don't know what happened to him on a restart. Either he said a plug wire come off or whatever happened. I don't know. So I ended up 3rd. And I think like 2 laps later, I see the 3 car and the 17 car they decided to get together and spin out, and
Yeah.
then they handed the lead to me. So we led the last 8 or 9 laps and ended up getting a victory there.
Yeah. You've you've won. I want to go back to something you said a minute ago, but before I do, you've won a lot of races, a lot of different places. You know, you mentioned
Luckily,
Kingsport,
yeah, I have,
Shenandoah,
yeah.
Motor Mile,
Mhm.
here. I don't know where else. You can tell me. Ace, have you won
Ace,
down there?
yeah,
Yep.
won several late model races
Yeah,
at Ace.
I thought so.
Caraway,
Caraway.
yeah. Caraway, actually, it was kind of strange. And it goes back to the Philip Morris days and the other thing. It's the people you're running against.
Yeah.
And they were hard to get a win from.
Yeah.
And Caraway was actually my first NASCAR late model stock win.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I ever won at a NASCAR track.
Wow.
It was weird.
That's interesting.
It took almost 12 or 13 years for that to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was just just by happenstance that you didn't win 10 or 15 races before that.
Oh yeah, I mean I can remember. This is no lie. In 2011, South Boston Speedway, I bet I led 75 laps.
Yeah.
And I know if it wouldn't have been for a caution, I had over a straightaway lead on Peyton Sellers.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, caution comes out. When we took off, I just didn't have any grip and ended up losing that one. So I've had some luck at South Boston. We won the championship down there in the mini stock.
Yep.
The first and only year they ran the mini stocks down there.
Yep.
And we won several races there. So that's another track that I did win races at, just not in a late model.
Now, did you win the championship? I'm trying to think of years here. Because that would have been 2018, right?
That was 18.
So, and you won the championship here in 2018
Yes.
in the late model.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I won a championship there in the mini stock and the late model here.
Gotcha. That's hard to keep up with.
It
'cause you're
really
in
is.
So many
It
different
really
cars
is.
in so many different places.
Yeah.
Going back to something you mentioned, and something I wanted to touch on. You mentioned racing with your dad.
Yes.
How old is Pops?
He's 83.
83. Yeah, well, he don't act 83.
No, he does not. I was thinking about that yesterday. You know, he comes over to the shop and we get to talking, and you know how it is around the garage and stuff, and we just talking along, and then it just hits me. You know, he's just like one of the boys.
Yeah.
You know, he's just like one of all the other crew members around us. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't appear that he gets around very well for his age. He sure does.
He does, 100%. I mean, he's, and I'm sure that, him, period, has played a huge role in your racing career. Because, I mean, he tells me stories all the time about being here sitting in the stands, before y'all started racing. And that's way back before I was born. So
It's 1972. He'll tell anybody that story.
Yep. He's told me that story
Dennis
a couple
Hall
times.
over here several times about it.
Yeah.
Starting over here in 1972. So.
Dennis probably didn't listen the first 8 times.
Well,
so,
yeah, he knows the story by heart.
I
Now.
bet he does. I bet he does. But what kind of role did he play, in not just racing on the track, but, everybody's a fan first.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So your role in loving racing.
He did. We always kind of, in our own little backyard, we worked on cars and did different things. And on Saturday evening, we get cleaned up and come to Franklin County to come watch the races. And then, that kind of went on for years, for 8 or 10 years. That kind of sets it in stone, for you when you're real young. You something you want to do. I never really had the money, to afford to build a car or do anything like that. So when I was able to be able to after I bought my business and start growing my business and stuff, I started making a little bit of money, and then that's how we ended up, starting out into the mini cups and different things like that. And so racing's always kind of been there.
Yeah.
I think my father has. Came over here. I don't think he's missed a race over here since 1972, unless the track was just closed for some reason. He would be over here.
Right.
So I think he's made it every year that the track's been open.
That's pretty unreal.
For one race or whatever, he's been every year since 1972. So he was a fan first, like you said. We were all fans first, and then really got bit by the bug when we bought a car.
Yeah. Now, did he have any cars before you got the Mini Cup?
Him and Chad, that's
what
my
I thought I was
nephew.
thinking.
Chad's my nephew. Him and Chad had a little stock Mini
Yep.
at the time, stock Mini, and it was a little Pinto that they had bought from Algie Lamb. I'm pretty sure that's who they got that from, Algie
Yep.
Lamb. And they fixed that up, and they were running stock Mini.
Yep.
Now, it's right along the same time. I don't know if it was any earlier because Chad also drove a Mini Cup that I actually owned because I was driving for Larry Drummond, but I'd bought a car, and Chad was driving it, and it was number 99.
Okay. See, I don't remember Chad.
Yeah, it was
and we're talking
pink
about
and-
Chad Asbury. I don't remember him in the Mini Cups at all.
Kind of pink and black,
Yeah.
and number 99. Yeah.
Hell of a driver, that guy.
Yeah.
He's in a great car now.
I'm glad you woke up. I thought you were
Look,
taking a nap.
y'all
over
talking about the 80s over here. I
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
He wasn't even born then, was he?
here. No.
All of my previous knowledge from here is buck wild. That is all of my knowledge.
Well, we had a lot of fun over here in Buckwild. too.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Oh, no, that's one of my favorite things. There's a great video of your father yelling at Whitey over here
Oh, I know.
about something about a restart or something going on.
yeah.
I don't remember. It was hilarious, though.
Oh, yeah, that's another one of them perfect examples. Well, I ain't coming back over again. All right, see you next week.
Yeah.
You always hear that story, but
Yeah.
it's true. A lot of guys, they'll say that and get all in the heat of the moment, then things change.
I told
Ready to go again on next Saturday.
I told somebody the other day, those guys who yell out and tell you that they're not coming back, you'll see them next week.
They're the first
Them
one.
guys that get mad and they don't ever say a word, you ain't never going to see them again.
They ain't coming back.
Nope. I've had several that I didn't even know was mad at me. I'd call them and yeah, we ain't coming back. Okay.
What happened?
I didn't know.
We've been doing this for 3 years, and we probably quit about 14, 15 times so far.
I mean, you've quit announcing 3 or 4 times this year. So
What are you talking about?
I mean,
I ain't quit.
I have to tell you to pick the microphone back up. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know. Anyways, you mentioned the modified and maybe going back at it next year. What's going to make that different?
Well, we're not really sure at this point. I think Mark, once he did get away from it, because the expense level did get pretty high. And, he's already stated to me that we couldn't do it again unless we had some good sponsorship.
Yeah.
So we're just like everybody else. There are some things that we would have to do in order to secure funding.
Mm-hmm.
If worse comes to worse, which it ain't worse, we'll just keep riding these mini stocks another year, That's what will determine. It's just like everything else. If you feel like you're funded enough to where you can really compete with those guys, then you'll go after it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to be a field filler, it's just really not that exciting to do that.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, nobody wants to. And I guess that's part of the problem in racing today. You know what I mean? When I grew up, late 80s, as far back as I can really remember, 90s, I ain't going to mention anybody by name, but there was people in the field every week that I could name right now that they had no chance of winning.
They just
They
love
showed up
doing it.
every week.
Yeah.
They were here, and they were here to race, and, all these other tracks, and that's what filled the fields. You know
Right.
what I mean? Legitimately.
And you still need that.
You do, but nobody wants to do that anymore.
Well, no, not once you. It's just like everybody else. You taste, the victory. You taste competitiveness.
Yeah.
You taste, being able to run in the top 5 most every race. You want to continue to do that.
Yeah,
yeah. And that's what happens.
I heard a saying once that you can get used to winning or you can get used to losing, but you can't do both.
Can't do both. No,
So,
it's tough. It really is.
Yeah. You've mentioned your age a couple of times, I think, which you also don't look your age. You don't act your age.
My wife would agree with you.
I'm sure she would. But I don't know. Maybe for you that plays a huge role in your mind.
It does.
But it doesn't seem to play a huge role in the racetrack.
A lot of times, when you're out on the racetrack, I probably make decisions better now.
Yeah, yeah.
I will back out of a hole if I see two guys in front of me and they just got to have it. They can have it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put myself in a position where I'm going to wad my stuff up because it's not worth it money-wise or, man, it takes a long time to get the car back competitive again when you bend it up.
Right.
So
I don't think that.
That's the biggest thing.
That may have came with age.
Yeah.
That may have came with age, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
I think that's being smart.
Very smart.
So I don't see, and I'm not trying to harp on this, but I don't see your age as being, a disadvantage for you. Not at least not now.
Well, thank you for that. And I, like I said, when I was able to back up and get into the mini stocks, and these are, no matter what it is, like he had stated earlier, when you come out and you start winning races, it just kind of makes everybody feel better. It makes the whole team feel better. It makes you more interested. It makes, everything about it make you feel better. As far as my age goes, currently right now, I'm very healthy, very healthy. Don't know of anything that I couldn't do right now. I am starting to feel, aches and pains, like everybody.
Sure.
I am very blessed, very fortunate, very thankful that I'm able to get out and do what I can do and be out here and be very competitive with these guys.
Well, you got good genes because
your
dad, like we mentioned. I mean, I'm telling you, he's not the fastest talker and never has been since I've been around him. But he does everything everybody else does. He don't slow down for anything.
And as far as talking, he'll talk to everybody about
he's gonna
whatever.
Talk to you,
yeah,
100%.
He is. He's never met a stranger.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if you don't go run the modified, and are you want to do any? Is there anything else in racing that you'd like to do? I mean, you've run the gamut of local racing. Is there anything else you'd like? to do?
I mean, Dennis Hall's trying to help me get a little seat time in maybe one of these super. What are they called?
The Super Cup. Or,
Super Cup
Grand
with the
National,
Grand National with the Jeremy Mayfield, and I would love to do that. It's just that again, in order to get into something like that, there is an expense there.
Oh, sure.
And we've talked to a couple of them, and it's a very expensive proposition just to run one race.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different things that I would love to do. I constantly, like everybody's always on Facebook and different things.
Yeah.
And I do get on there, and I'm itching, really am, but it's a very expensive itch. Mm-hmm. I'd love to run another late model race or two.
Yeah.
With a good competitive car.
Yeah.
But I keep looking, and a good competitive car, it's pretty expensive to run one race in a good competitive car.
What is that, 20,000 a race maybe?
Well,
now?
A lot of them, good example, it's around 10 grand.
Okay.
Yeah, and then if you want to be competitive, you need to bring another 5 with you just for expenses.
Yeah.
So, you're looking at $10,000 to rent a car, and then you got to buy all the regular stuff that you normally would on race day if, you were racing that day. So it turns into a very expensive night.
Well, if you're going to go run a late model race, where are you going to go? What tracks? Is there somewhere where you want to race at?
Well, of course, you'd want to go to familiar track. I'd love, go back to South Boston. Of course, we love that racetrack. If I was to run, as far as late model goes, Tri-County would be a very good one to go back to. Of course, we like running here. We like running to find something that we could race late model here, Yeah. But again, just depending on where. I like local. I don't. We get past 3 hours, I'm not interested in driving that. So, anywhere between 2 and 3 hours drive from home is optimal.
Gotcha. I didn't know if, maybe I don't think you've ever been to North Wilkesboro,
no.
race. I didn't
I
know if
haven't
that was
been
on
yet,
your radar. That's why I asked that
If they take your mini stocks back down there again, we'll have one down there.
Yeah. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
I mean, how long do you see yourself racing?
Till I can't anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that's the right answer right there.
Yeah. I mean,
What do you think?
I want to, as long as I have the want to and the drive,
Yeah.
I feel like we can still keep getting it done.
Noah, you got any questions to ask him?
Yeah, changing gears a little bit. And I don't want to talk about them, but Lord knows we have to address it on the podcast
That's okay.
because we haven't got to talk to a mini stock guy about it. What do you think about old Wes going out there and playing with you boys? Because I know it's no secret that there's a few guys that don't necessarily like him, and they're very worried about the way he drives, hopping into these bigger money cars out there.
Wes has been a very good competitor. I see nothing wrong with the way he's doing what he's doing. He can wheel a car. I got to see that firsthand, chased him all night one night. No problem with anything he's doing. He seems to control the car very well. I don't see where he's doing anything when somebody gets close to him or whatever. I don't see him, roughing anybody up or anything like that. So I think he's very respectful to the ways these cars race. And, I guess what you're alluding to is, I also watch races. And, in the Stock 4, you just have to drive those a little bit differently. And maybe those cars, honestly, when I sit back and look at it, it reminds me of like the Super Streets and different things. Those cars are actually more competitive with each other because they are more equal to what you have to do, and you have to basically bumper cars to move the next guy to get him out of the way. Yeah. And with the mini stocks, I don't think we have to do that. So I think he's done a great job with the mini stocks.
Speaking of Stock 4s, can we get you in a Stock 4?
Even Wes has asked me that. He's put me in one too. But I don't really have the desire. Yeah. I watch those guys and I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, Yeah. They're just a whole lot different in the way they drive. And I don't know.
Yeah, Kyle Barnes, he comes every now and then and races, and he tells me, he says, no matter what's going on, I'm watching those Stock 4s.
Exactly.
He said that's the best racing of any track that we go to, anywhere, any division.
It is. I mean, those guys really put on a show. I mean, honestly, I watch them too, and I'm amazed that sometimes they'll go down in the corner, and I just know they just spun him out. Yeah. Next thing you know, he comes out the backstretch, still leading. Yeah. Whoever it is, or right. Whoever knocks him plumb all the way around sideways, and they're still getting it down the backstretch. And I'm like, I cannot believe he saved it, and he did.
I think these Cars Tour and late model stock car guys have been watching videos from here. I mean,
they
their
really
racing
have.
Looks just like it, which is really weird. Late model stock car racing has never kind of been that way.
Yeah, I'm. You alluded to that, and I did watch. Flo. I watched the Hampton, and I've watched these several races here lately with the. Yeah, it's a great rivalry at the moment with the Connor Hall and the Brendan Queen. So, and that's awesome. Yeah. It's good for them and good for their sport and good for the timing. But it's also good that they can do that. Yeah, and they're not turning each other. Yeah,
I agree.
They're still racing.
It's amazing, especially these Stock 4 guys. They kind of have learned those cars. You know what I mean? It's amazing that at that level that you have the talent. I mean, and I think it takes just as much talent to hit a guy that hard and know he's not going to wreck. Right. You know what I mean? And knowing how to hit him to keep him from wrecking. You know what I mean?
I don't know what's really changed. I don't know if just, the way those cars are sitting on the ground. Yeah. They're like slot cars at the moment. They're all sitting on the ground. And something's really changed because you can, from what I can see, Caraway was the best example of that. Yeah. When you get knocked back 5 positions, you're leading, you get knocked back 5 positions. And then you turn right around, and you get 5 of those positions back in 5 laps. And then lose the race. Right. That's amazing. Something else. Yeah. It was a very exciting race. But it shows that those cars can do what they can do and beat on each other and move each other, and those guys can still hang on to them.
I remember a time in late model stock car racing where, if you got into a guy a quarter that hard, he was going to wreck.
Yeah, he's going to
Because
spin
they
out.
were so on the edge that they couldn't. It's amazing how far, evolved we are. And I'm sure that plays a role in, you not being in a late model stock car. They don't have any rules hardly anymore. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're
The expense level on those, just like everything else,
Yeah.
When you double and triple the cost of a car,
yeah,
I alluded to in 2010, I bought a brand new car with Frank Deiny. At that time, I had $50,000 brand spanking new in that car, top to bottom.
yeah.
It's double that now. It'd be
Oh, yeah.
100,000.
Oh, I guarantee it.
So
yeah.
Which is the complete opposite of the purpose of the late models.
Yeah.
Because if you watch that Slap Shoes on YouTube,
Yeah.
he explains how the late models were created. And they were created to be a cost-effective way to race.
Yeah.
And now it is just completely skyrocketed to what it is now.
Yeah, but it's just like everything else. That's coming from a time where everybody was late model sportsman racing
Yeah.
and Busch Grand National racing.
Yep.
And, the late model guys didn't really have a weight, like the guys from here. Had some real nice stuff, Clay Heiberger and the Reedies. And, they had top-notch stuff. It could move right into Busch Grand National at that time.
Yeah.
And that's how they all ended up with the late models, was because
Yeah.
they didn't really have the pocketbooks to move that far forward, is
Yeah.
why the late models started. But
Well,
anyway,
I think we're about to see that here again.
we're about to
You
see
know
it
what I mean?
again.
I mean, I think the car store has elevated the game to a whole nother level.
Oh yeah, I personally believe, and I watch these racetracks and different things, and Ace Speedway is a perfect example. Kingsport's a perfect example. Here is a perfect example. You got 5 good late models that show up every single time. Yes, those are your regulars. It's hard to get late model racing to expand, and I think that's what's happened to that side, is the expense level trying to run a late model car.
Yeah.
Honestly, I believe that division shouldn't even be there anymore.
Yeah.
I think your top division should be your limited cars.
Yeah.
Anything with a crate engine or something, where
Right.
back to exactly what you alluded to, back to the same days of moving on to a difference in category as far as price-wise.
Yeah. I think the biggest problem is, and this is what I've run into. Last year I run by straight limited rules. I couldn't get that many guys, even local people. They already got a late model stock motor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we kind of combined them and got the car count back up a little bit. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a perfect – there's no perfect answer right
No.
now.
It's very
Super
tough.
Street's the perfect answer.
I
nobody will
would
jump on
agree.
it.
Yeah,
So-
I would agree.
The 8-inch tires scare some people. I mean, they do. I mean,
It really does.
it's
really
weird, And I think one of the big differences, why it worked at Motor Mall and it didn't work here. I think this track is very intimidating to a lot of racers. You know what I mean? And I think you throw in the 8-inch tires, it's a whole nother element of intimidation there. They don't like them to start with. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see, where everything is and where it's going, and who knows what will happen next year, next 5 years here or anywhere else.
It is.
Rumors, out there, Motor Mile, Pulaski County, whatever they're calling it these days, going to open back up next year. If it does, go to race many stocks up there, I assume.
If they have the class,
Yeah.
I guess we will.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, and their last season, that was their biggest struggling class was the Mod 4s,
It really
mini
was.
stocks, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And that, which is weird.
Like everything else, it used to didn't be that way.
I know, it's crazy.
We talk about when I first started, and we talk about some of those races and different things. I can remember going to several of them races, and I'm going to say somewhere around early 2000s, and the mini stock was your largest class.
Oh yeah.
And you could show up and be 30 mini stocks there.
Yeah, it was mine here up until like 3 years ago. I don't know what
Yeah,
happened. It just like the switch turned off and
Switch
it was
turned
over.
off.
I don't
I'm not
know.
exactly sure.
But I think that class has got a lot of
What's
the same
happening?
problems as the late model stock car class. It is evolving in so many different ways. They're not a lot faster than they were, but
No.
people think they need something to keep up that they don't necessarily need.
It
And,
goes back to what you stated earlier about only having 4 or 5 maybe
Yeah, rules. Yep.
And I truly believe that. You know, we started out this year in a car that Ricky Hall built, and it's a tube chassis car. But I've already proven that every racetrack I've been to, not just one, not just here, not just one. It doesn't matter where I've gone.
Yeah.
That car is not dominant, no matter how those guys want to. Every time I show up and they go, well, it's got a quick change rear end in it. I said, okay, that's not performance enhancing. It just allows me to go to all these different tracks so I can come play with you.
Yeah.
So then they'll say, well, it's a full tube chassis car. Okay, so I like safety.
Right.
So well, who cares? You know why?
Yeah.
I still, at the end of the day, no matter what we do with these cars, CC rule. I'm alluding back to what you said earlier.
Yeah.
The CC rule, as long as it's adhered to, I don't care what kind of car you got.
Right.
If you're 2,340 pounds, you better be 2,340 pounds. You know, if you got a 2,500 engine, you better be 2,500 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, that's the only area that I know that slows these cars down. It's been proven. I don't care if you're in a late model. I don't care what it is. You put 100 pounds on a late model, what's it going to do to it?
Slow down.
Slows it down. I put 200 pounds on my Super Street, came over here, running sub 14s, 1390s.
Yeah.
Put 200 pounds on it. Guess what I'm running? 1550s, 1560s.
Right.
That's all 200 pounds did, from 14.0s to 1550s. Lost a second and a half. Same car.
Yeah.
So it is huge. You know, the weight's got to be right.
I would agree. What's your opinion? You've run a bunch of different races like this, not just here, but you know, the evolution of the mini stock, you know, includes front wheel drives.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have any feelings, good or bad, you know, for that?
Well, you bring that up. You're Barry with the 7 car.
Yep.
He was front wheel drive.
Yep.
And that was a very competitive car, very strong car, very competitive car, and we could run right with him with our rear wheel driven car.
I mean, you come over here and took my bounty money.
Well, I did. I got lucky that
You've
night.
done that a few times, okay? Not just in the mini stock.
Yeah,
But.
we done very well that night, but that race in particular, you alluded to that, front wheel drive and rear wheel.
Yep.
Well, I was basically first. Barry was basically second. AJ Saunders was basically third.
Yep.
For 50 laps.
Yeah, one of the
Bumper
most
to bumper.
incredible races.
Yeah.
Ever.
I mean, you know, several times Barry got upside of me. I think he even got the lead a couple times, and I got it back from him.
Yeah.
AJ was right in there, right in the mix with us. We was weaving in and out of traffic like crazy.
Yep.
And, so front wheel drives, again, here we go with the same old. Front wheel drives, as long as they adhere to the CC rule.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like everything else. It's proven that that is really what determines how fast you go around here, is how much weight you're carrying with you. Same in drag racing.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter what you're racing. You take weight off, and you're going to go a little quicker. So, you know, as long as those front wheel drives, they can have huge motors in them, double twin cams, and all this other stuff. I don't really feel that they're going to go any faster as long as they're carrying the weight.
Yeah. I was glad earlier this year, you know, they don't allow tube chassis in the Carolina mini stock tour. And I don't like the way you had to get there to running one. You know, you destroyed the other car in practice there. But, you know, you got to run with them. You didn't dominate them.
No.
You know?
No. And that was a perfect example of, like what I said, every racetrack. I showed up at Wake County, did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I unload, and they go, well, you can't run that here. Yeah. You know, all my competitors are, you know, all these guys. I got my butt waxed there.
Right.
I mean, honestly, those guys, you know, there was a Pinto there.
Yeah.
Much stronger than I was. Much stronger.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was like 5th quick. You know, there's really no way that you could say that these cars that, like you said, the Carolina guys, allowed me to race that car. I qualified very well. We qualified third. We was very competitive. But when they dropped the green flag, man, those guys were gone.
Yeah.
I was lucky to keep up.
Yeah.
And I think we ended up seventh or so. But they got a good class there.
No doubt, no doubt. And they used to have a Mod 4 class of their own. That, was a little bit, and I think that's why those guys reacted that way, because their Mod 4 class was tube chassis, but they could do anything to the motor, and they had all that. And so I think that's
I think they run wider tires too. It's just like
Yeah,
Orange County, I believe, has a Mod 4 class in Orange County.
Yeah,
And they got 10-inch rims,
Yeah.
and wider tires, and they're definitely modified fours.
right.
Instead of, and it brings me back to what you just said, and racing these cars and watching them and different things. We went to Tri-County, and they have modified fours there also.
Yeah.
And they're all kind of mixed together. We're all mixed together. But what I did notice was their modified fours is like a straight rail car.
Yes.
They're offset chassis with a straight rail on one side, and all of their stuff is, again, if you get these cars to have the same percentage on the left side as the right side,
Right.
and they're all weighing the right weight per the CC on their engines.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter what car you got.
I don't remember whether you went or not, but when they had the Battle of the Beach at Daytona, did you
I
go
didn't go.
in the late model?
No.
Oh man, I'll never forget. The late model stock car community was all up in arms because
Yeah.
they were allowing straight rail cars in that race,
Right.
and they ran good.
Yes.
They didn't.
They
it
didn't dominate.
matter. I mean, they had to have the same percentages, same weight, same everything.
Yeah, you got
It doesn't
C.E.
matter.
Falk out there dominating the race
Yeah. Well, until Kyle Larson run him over.
until Kyle Larson run him over. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Anything you thought we'd talk about, or anything on your mind to talk about that we haven't talked about?
No, just just enjoy racing over here at Franklin County, and been having a great season this year, and it's kind of like a family thing, like we talked about with my father, and just enjoying this year.
Good. Noah, you got anything else?
Can we discuss a house topic real quick?
Sure.
Hinchee Motorsports #1 fan getting a new ride.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Keyshawn.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our #1
Keyshawn.
fan.
Yep.
Josh
Keyshawn
Hinchee's the
Clayton.
#1 fan.
Yeah, he tested a Legends car this past weekend. He's going to Wake County Friday
Cool.
to run. Him and Nathan Weed. He's driving one of Nathan Weed's cars.
Good deal.
Scott Foley even.
I
got
see
to-
where Scott
yeah,
Foley got to drive it a
got
little
to
bit.
drive
Yeah.
some laps. From what I asked Keyshawn, I hadn't talked to Scott since, but from what I asked Keyshawn, I said, "Well, how'd Scott do it?" He said, "I think he took 2 or 3 laps." He said, "Yeah, I don't need to be in this thing." Yeah, I mean, those cars are a different breed,
Yeah, my crew chief, Ben Short, he really wants to maybe try to get a few of them cars.
Yeah.
He'd love to have a Legends car and get us all, each one of us in one and
Yeah.
try to race against each other in one. But those things are a lot faster than you would imagine. Yeah,
I mean,
They're
they turn
running
basically the same laps y'all do.
exactly. They're running the same lap times we are.
Yeah,
Now, what do they weigh?
1,250 pounds.
See,
Yeah. Yeah.
again,
200 more.
What'd I say
what
earlier?
the driver is.
it's about weight versus cubic inch
Yep.
ratio.
For sure. Y'all definitely need to get you some Legends cars. That'd be
I
good
know
for
we'd like to.
Those things are
I mean, and
nuts.
Thought
you know,
about it.
One of the reasons why I think you would love them is because you can go anywhere in those things.
Yeah, I know.
Like in the mini stocks, you got to go, and I'm sure you had to call Wake County and say,
I did
"Hey,
at
can I
first.
come run this car?" And with the Legends car, well, they race everywhere. You
Yeah.
can just go to the racetrack.
You can
You
go
know, I
road
did.
course racing in that thing.
Yep.
It's funny. This year has been really strange for us, and I don't know if it's just the promoters are just happy to see you. They don't care what you got.
Yeah.
Let the competitors cry.
Yeah.
So you are right. I did call Wake County to start with.
Yep.
The guy there said, "Well, we're only got 6 or 8. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Tell me what you got. I'll tell the inspector down there."
Yeah.
And then when I get there, we run a few laps or whatever. Inspector, because everybody's complaining.
Yeah.
The inspector wants me to add 25 pounds, which is fine.
Yeah.
I will never cry over 25 pounds.
Yeah.
You ask me to run 100 extra, I ain't going to do it
Right.
because I already know that it's not going to happen.
Right.
But anyway, back to what you said. Here lately, I'm just showing up at racetracks and let
Right.
them decide what they want to do with it.
Right.
and I haven't
Listen,
had
once you
any
sign
complaints.
in, they're not sending you home.
Yeah,
okay?
they are not sending me home.
No,
No,
you're
because
right.
we went to Ace, and he told me the same thing. You know, I talked to Robert, and Robert said I like to look at the car first, and you know how it is. It's a 2 hour drive down there and stuff, and it's just hard to make that happen. You know, when you're working full time.
Oh yeah.
So we showed up down there, and he marked the tires, and we went on. But we finished fifth that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be on your game to outrun these guys.
Oh, anywhere you
plain
go.
and simple. It don't matter where you go. You got to be on your game.
For
Now,
sure.
we might be able to run competitive with them, but yeah, we're not going to dominate.
All right, I got one last question for you. You've raced against an incredible amount of great racers. You mentioned Philip Morris.
Yes.
Jason
Lee
Lawrence, Lee Pulliam, Tommy Lemons,
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin, Modifieds, the Myers.
Yeah.
Ryan Newman.
Ryan Newman.
Who have you learned?
Priest.
Yeah,
Race against Priest.
Yep. Who have you learned the most, or who did you enjoy the most racing?
Well, of course, that would definitely have to be Philip Morris, plain and simple. And it's just because of the proximity of where we're at and the region we're running in.
Sure.
Philip and Jason Lawrence. I really enjoyed racing with Jason Lawrence.
Yeah.
Stacy Perrier. I mean, just all of those guys. And they would definitely help you. No matter you think these guys are untouchable. You don't want to talk to them, and they'll tell you. Basically, they try to help you. They want you to be competitive because they want you to succeed.
Right.
They may or may not want you to outrun them, but at a certain point, it's just like everything else. The more time you have behind the wheel, the more you're going to learn. The better you're going to get at it. It don't matter what it is. Yeah. If you're playing tennis, you get out there on the court and you play all day, you're going to get better at it.
Sure.
So as far as people I raced against. Peyton Sellers.
Yeah.
And like you said, it really, I really don't think about it until somebody brings it up. Yeah. Just like what you asked me. I look back on it and I can't believe all the different guys over the years that I have raced against.
Sure.
And I've just been fortunate to be around them and enjoyed racing against him. I mean, there's one guy, he's not even racing anymore, but he was really good at R.D. Smith.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun together racing, beating and banging and stuff down at Ace Speedway and different tracks, So, different ones that just, were racing at the same time you were, enjoyed racing against them.
That's incredible. I'm just sitting here thinking in my mind as you're speaking, and you're naming off these people, and I can sit here and think of 10 people that we didn't, name that
Tank
I know you
Reedy.
raced against. Yep. Josh Berry.
Josh Berry raced against Josh Berry for years.
Yeah. So
William Byron. I raced against William Byron for a little while.
Yeah, it's unreal. I mean, it's unreal, here. And, I mean, you talked about it. You don't travel more than 3 hours.
Mm-mm.
So it all happened right around here.
It did. I mean? It happened right around here.
It's amazing the racing history and things that have happened, not just here, but Motor Mile, South Boston, all the racetracks in this region. It's really cool. All right. Turning our page to this weekend. Got another race coming up. The Maggard Insurance Kids Gold Rush Grand National Series you mentioned earlier, Dennis. They'll be here this weekend. Jeremy Mayfield will be in the field. Noah, what are you looking forward to this weekend?
I don't know, seeing if maybe Jeremy gets that thing back together correctly.
Listen, he was together correctly at his last race. He didn't do very good here the last time they were here, but Tri-County or Caraway, wherever they were, man, he had a good run.
I'm going to try to steal some money from the kids, too.
Yeah. The Kids Gold Rush will throw out over $200 worth of coins out here on the front straightaway and let the kids go running after that. Dennis, I assume you'll be in the field this weekend. Looking forward to getting back to Victory Lane.
Oh yeah, we always do.
Yeah, gonna be a good. Scott Foley had Sunday when we had practice. He had both of his cars out here. I know he's been really struggling, to try to get one running good. I'm not sure what the verdict there was on those, but I'm sure he'll be in the field and everybody's working to catch you. You've won the most races, whether you've fallen into them in your opinion or not. You've won the most races, so I'm sure everybody's looking to dethrone you here at this point.
That's right.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess that'll do it for this episode of the Pit Chatter Podcast. We'll see you this Saturday, and we'll come back with another podcast next week. See you till then.
Buck wild.